Let's be honest. You don't want to just be liked. You want to be unforgettable. You want to be the one he thinks about at 2 a.m. when he rolls over in bed. The one that crosses his mind in the middle of a meeting. The one he can't explain but can't ignore. And here's the truth. Men don't crave presence the way women do. They crave mystery. They crave contrast. They crave impact. That's what this video is all about. Impact. How to leave that undeniable emotional fingerprint that keeps you echoing in his mind long after the last text or date. Most women are taught to be available to show they care and to prove they're the one. But that's not what creates obsession. That's what creates comfort, and comfort fades fast. If you want to flip the switch in his brain that makes him emotionally addicted to your presence, it starts with understanding how his mind actually works. Not through games, not through manipulation, but by unlocking the parts of you that naturally create deep magnetic pull. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into psychological triggers, subtle energy shifts, and the exact behaviors that make you more than just another girl in his DMs. You become the one that lives rent-free in his thoughts. So get ready. This isn't just dating advice. This is about becoming the woman he can't stop thinking about, even when he tries. Let's begin. So how do you actually trigger desire in a man? Not just short-term attraction, but real, deep craving. It starts with the mind, not the body. The truth is, desire isn't born from looks alone. It's created through contrast, unpredictability, and how you make him feel about himself when he's around you. Men become emotionally addicted, not to perfection, but to emotional stimulation. Here's the first trigger: anticipation. If he always knows when you'll text, how you'll respond, or what you'll say, there's nothing to chase. Desire thrives in the unknown. That little pause before you respond, that unpredictability in how the night ends, that's not accidental. That's psychological fire. Trigger 2. Emotional elevation. People are addicted to feelings, not people. When a man feels seen, admired, and energized in your presence, he starts linking you with those positive emotional spikes. This is why compliments like "I feel different around you" are gold. He's not complimenting you. He's complimenting how he feels in your vibe. Third trigger: scarcity. If you're too available, his subconscious registers you as low value. When you create space, not distance, but intentional space, it triggers a survival level response in the brain. What's rare becomes precious. What's always there gets ignored. Fourth trigger: identity reflection. People fall for those who reflect a version of themselves they want to become. If your energy, your ambition, your self-respect, or even your playful edge mirror something aspirational in him, he'll chase you not just for connection, but for identity fulfillment. And finally, challenge. Healthy challenge, not games. A man should feel that he's earning your energy, not just entitled to it. When you hold standards, not ultimatums, and still stay soft and inviting, that's when he says, "She's different. I can't stop thinking about her." These psychological triggers don't just get his attention, they bind it. And when you learn to activate them naturally, your presence becomes more than attractive. It becomes addictive. Coming up next, how to embody feminine energy that makes him feel safe, excited, and deeply drawn to you, without ever chasing. Most women have been told that to keep a man's attention, you have to do more, try harder, show up bigger, but feminine energy flips that completely. It's not about trying, it's about being. Feminine energy is the quiet, powerful presence that draws a man in without effort. And the reason it works is because it offers something the world rarely gives him: space to breathe, to feel, and to connect. When you're in your feminine, you're not chasing anything. You're not trying to prove your worth. You're allowing him to experience you as you are, present, emotionally alive, confident without aggression. And that contrast, it's magnetic. In a world where everyone's shouting to be seen, you become the calm in the storm. You don't demand his attention. You command it simply by being fully in your body, in the moment, and in your truth. Men are naturally drawn to softness, not weakness, but softness that comes from strength. The kind that says, "I don't need to control anything because I trust myself completely." That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it seduces. It makes a man lean in. It makes him feel safe to be himself, which is a rare and powerful experience for him. Most women think they need to be impressive, but feminine energy isn't impressive, it's unforgettable. You also don't have to explain yourself constantly. A woman in her feminine doesn't give everything away. She's layered. She allows herself to be seen, but not completely unraveled. That subtle emotional mystery makes him want to know more, to understand you, to earn the right to access deeper layers of who you are. That chase, that curiosity, it's what creates obsession. What really makes feminine energy irresistible is when it's paired with self-respect, when you hold your boundaries without anger, when you honor your needs without apology, when you don't beg, convince, or perform. He notices, he respects it, and more importantly, he desires it. Because suddenly you're not just another woman hoping to be chosen, you are the woman choosing. Feminine energy invites. It draws him closer with presence, not pressure. You're not forcing a connection, you're allowing one to unfold. And when you trust that your energy is enough, that who you are is enough, that's when he starts to see you as the woman who's unlike anyone he's ever met. Coming up next, how creating just the right amount of distance builds that mystery he can't resist and makes him crave your presence even more. Let's get real. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who doesn't lay all her cards on the table. A woman who gives just enough to spark interest, but holds back just enough to make him wonder. That space, that subtle distance, is not cold, it's captivating. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding human psychology, especially when it comes to desire. Men are wired to pursue what they can't fully grasp. The moment they feel like they've figured you out, their mind relaxes, and so does their attention. But when you remain just slightly out of reach, when you reveal yourself in layers instead of all at once, you activate a natural sense of pursuit. Not because you're being manipulative, but because you're staying connected to your mystery and letting him earn deeper access to you. Mystery is the art of being emotionally rich, yet unpredictable. It's when he's left thinking, what is she thinking right now? What's she feeling? It's when your silence doesn't feel like disinterest, but confidence. It's knowing that you don't owe anyone full emotional exposure just because they ask for it. That kind of restraint. It's sexy. It makes a man lean in, listen harder, try more. And here's where emotional distance becomes essential. It doesn't mean shutting him out or playing hard to get. It means maintaining your center. When he pulls away, you don't chase. When he's distant, you don't panic. You stay calm, grounded in your feminine power. That's what creates emotional security for you, an irresistible intrigue for him. Think about this. If every time he texts, you reply instantly. If every time he calls, you drop everything, you're sending a message, even if you don't mean to, that your time revolves around him. But when you live a full life, when you don't rush to fill every silence, when you give him space to miss you, that's when he realizes what your presence actually means. The key is to give connection without overexposure. Emotional distance means you're emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent. It means you're not using him to fill a void. You already feel whole, and that wholeness is what draws him back to you again and again. He should be asking himself, what is she thinking right now? What is she doing? Why can't I stop wondering about her? That mental loop is what mystery and space create. That's what causes a man to crave not just your body, not just your attention, but your energy. The way you walk into a room, the way you look at him without needing to say a word, the way your silence sometimes says more than a paragraph ever could. And when you master this, you stop being an option and become an obsession. Next, we'll dive into how to communicate and text in ways that feed this attraction, build emotional intensity, and keep you on his mind long after the conversation ends. If you want a man to obsessively respond to your texts, it's not about being clever, overly flirty, or constantly available. It's about triggering his emotional curiosity, feeding the attraction you've already started building, and most importantly, making him feel something when he hears from you. Because people don't chase texts, they chase feelings. The biggest mistake most women make is over-communicating. You send long paragraphs, explain yourself too much, and try to keep the conversation alive when it's clearly flatlining. But obsession doesn't come from effort. It comes from impact. The key is to create space within the conversation for him to wonder, to imagine, and to lean in. When you text, be brief but intentional. Be playful without trying too hard. Use curiosity as your weapon. A simple, "You won't believe what just happened," does more to grab his attention than a perfectly crafted paragraph. Why? Because it creates a question in his mind. And when there's a question, his brain stays active. He keeps thinking about you even when the conversation ends. Another powerful tactic is emotional anchoring. That means tying your texts to specific memories, feelings, or energy he's experienced with you. Something like, "I just passed that place we went to. Your ridiculous order popped into my head," does more than a generic "hey." It makes him feel something familiar. It brings you back into his emotional world. Timing also matters. Always match the energy he gives. If he's sending short, dry replies, don't overcompensate. If he takes hours to reply, resist the urge to double text or get in your head about it. You don't need to mirror bad behavior, but you do need to maintain your emotional self-control. That self-respect is more attractive than any perfectly written message. Voice notes, occasional emojis, and playful teasing can also go a long way when used sparingly. Remember, too much access kills desire. You don't need to be cold, but you do need to be intentional. Let your messages reflect that you have a full, exciting life, and that he's lucky to be part of it. Also, don't forget the power of ending conversations first. If things are going great, don't stretch it too long. Leave on a high note. Say something like, "Okay, I'm off to sleep. Sweet dreams, mystery man," and then log off. That ending leaves a flavor behind. Something unfinished. Something he'll want to come back to. When your communication reflects mystery, confidence, and emotional presence, you stop being just another message on his phone. You become the one he checks his phone, hoping to hear from. You become the text he rereads. The voice in his head. And that's how obsession starts, through small moments of intentional energy that build into something unforgettable. Coming up next, how to take that emotional momentum and turn it into true emotional addiction without chasing, forcing, or losing yourself. Emotional addiction sounds intense, but it's not about mind games, control, or manipulation. True emotional addiction happens when your presence becomes a source of emotional elevation in his life. It means he doesn't just like you. He feels better about himself when he's around you. He doesn't just want to see you, he needs to, because you've become his emotional escape, his grounding force, and his excitement, all in one. This kind of pull doesn't come from being overly available or trying too hard to be the perfect woman. It comes from creating a unique emotional experience that he can't find anywhere else. Most women offer attention. You're offering energy. Most women offer validation. You're offering connection. When you make a man feel deeply seen but never fully figured out, you create a loop in his mind that keeps playing. He starts associating you with a very specific feeling. Maybe it's comfort, maybe it's mystery, maybe it's pure excitement. Either way, you become the emotional high point in his day. And that's what builds addiction. It starts with presence. When you're with him, really be there. Put the phone down. Tune into the energy between you two. Make eye contact. Listen like what he's saying matters. And respond from intuition, not just habit. That depth of presence is rare, and it leaves an imprint on his nervous system. Now pair that presence with a little unpredictability. Let him feel close to you, but never entitled to your emotional access. Keep some thoughts to yourself. Share things when they feel right, not just when he asks. Make him earn the deeper pieces of you, not to play hard to get, but to preserve your value. Men don't crave what's always available. They crave what's meaningful and rare. Emotional addiction also happens when you disrupt his emotional patterns. Maybe he's used to drama. Maybe he's used to being in control. Maybe he's used to feeling emotionally alone. When you show up as someone who doesn't argue for power, who doesn't beg, who doesn't chase, but still holds deep connection and warmth, that contrast is unforgettable. That contrast rewires his emotional experience. And here's the part most people miss. You don't build emotional addiction by giving him more. You build it by being more of yourself, not the filtered, pleasing version. The real version. The version that's self-aware, emotionally intelligent, unapologetically feminine, and willing to walk away if he can't rise to meet you. When you become the one who makes him feel seen without judgment, desired without pressure, challenged without conflict, that's when he stops comparing you to others. Because emotionally there are no others. Next, we're going to uncover what not to do. Those subtle mistakes that kill desire and connection faster than you think. Even one wrong move here can undo what you've built. So don't miss this. Here's the hard truth. Most women never get told. Sometimes it's not what you do that makes a man lose interest. It's what you do too much of. Attraction isn't only built on connection. It's also built on restraint, space, and mystery. And when that balance tips too far, it creates a shift, subtle at first, then obvious. He stops texting first. He gets busy. You feel the distance grow. And it's not random. It's usually the result of things most people don't even realize they're doing. The first one, over-explaining. You feel a shift in his tone, or he doesn't respond for a while. And suddenly you're in your head, typing out long texts, explaining how you feel, trying to clear the air when nothing's been said. It's natural to want reassurance, but when you start over-explaining, what he hears is uncertainty. What he feels is pressure. Instead of leaning in, he pulls back. Next is over-availability, dropping everything the second he messages you, saying yes to plans with zero hesitation, acting like you've been waiting all day to hear from him. It feels loving to you, but to him it signals that you don't have a full, vibrant life. And if he doesn't have to earn your time, it won't feel valuable to him. Then there's emotional chasing. You sense he's becoming distant, and instead of letting things breathe, you try to pull him back with affection, check-ins, or questions like, "Is everything okay?" It sounds caring, but it creates emotional weight. Desire doesn't survive in heavy energy. It thrives in lightness, freedom, and tension. When you chase emotionally, he starts to associate you with pressure, not pleasure. Another killer. Oversharing too fast. Vulnerability is powerful, but only when it's earned. If you unload your past, your fears, and your emotional wounds too early, it can overwhelm the space between you. Mystery dies when there's no room left to wonder who you are. Sharing should unfold, not pour out. One more, seeking constant reassurance. When you repeatedly need him to validate your place in his life, it drains attraction. Not because he doesn't care, but because it shifts the dynamic. Instead of being a confident, grounded woman, you become someone who's emotionally dependent. And nothing makes a man feel trapped faster than sensing he's being asked to complete you. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be self-aware, because men don't disconnect suddenly. It happens slowly, every time they feel pressure, overexposure, or emotional overreach. The attraction doesn't die, it's dulled. And once it dulls, it's hard to revive. So if you recognize any of this, pause, breathe, don't chase, don't fix, just recenter. Because the woman he craves isn't the one who tries hardest to keep him, it's the one who stays most connected to herself. Next, we'll break down how to create lasting desire and keep him craving you long term without ever needing to push for it. Short-term attraction is easy. A great outfit, some witty banter, a little chemistry, and you've got his attention. But long-term craving, that's an entirely different game. That's not just spark, that's depth. That's when he's thinking about you weeks, months, even years later, wondering, what is it about her that I can't shake? Keeping a man craving you long-term isn't about constantly entertaining him or being someone you're not. It's about becoming a feeling in his life that he can't find anywhere else. Not a job title, not a relationship status, a feeling. So how do you become that feeling? First, consistency with mystery. That means showing up in your full energy, being emotionally present while still keeping your edges. He should feel like he knows you, but never quite all of you. You don't have to reveal everything. You don't have to constantly explain what's going on in your head. You just have to stay connected to who you are. That quiet confidence, that unshakable sense of self is addictive. Next, emotional variety. Emotional addiction happens when your presence brings a range of feelings: joy, comfort, curiosity, inspiration. He needs to feel alive around you. So don't just be sweet, be playful, be witty, be grounded, be passionate. Show layers. Make him feel like he's constantly discovering something new when he's with you. Also, never underestimate the power of absence. If you want to remain unforgettable, give him room to miss you. Step back sometimes, not as a strategy, but because you have your own life to live. When he feels your absence, he reconnects with his desire. He remembers what your presence adds to his world. Another key, emotional independence. He should never feel like you need him to be okay. When you radiate peace, purpose, and fulfillment on your own, it gives him space to want you, not feel obligated to you. The second you need him to complete you, the craving fades. But when he sees that choosing you is a privilege, not a rescue mission, he'll rise to meet that standard. And don't stop evolving. The most unforgettable women are always becoming more of themselves. She's reading, healing, growing, chasing her joy. She's not performing to keep his attention. She's elevating naturally, and he feels that. Staying static kills interest. Growth keeps you magnetic. So keeping him craving you long term isn't about control, it's about energy. The way you carry yourself, the way you hold space, the way you love yourself with or without him, that's what stays with him. That's what he'll never be able to replace. Coming up next, your final powerful recap and the mindset shift that will change how you show up in every connection from now on. We've covered so much today, and now it's time to bring it all together. The final tips that will help you fully own your feminine power and become utterly irresistible to him. This isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about authenticity and presence, showing up as the woman who knows her worth and moves through the world with confidence and grace. First, remember that your feminine power is your natural magnetism. It's not something you turn on or off. It's who you are at your core. When you embrace your softness, your intuition, your emotional depth, you're not just attracting any man, you're attracting the right man, the one who truly values and respects you. Second, balance is everything. The dance between mystery and openness, presence and space, softness and boundaries, that's where magic happens. You don't have to be an open book, but you don't have to be unreadable either. You hold the power to decide what to share and when, and that choice keeps him intrigued and coming back for more. Third, cultivate emotional independence. Your happiness and fulfillment come from within. When you live your life fully, pursuing your passions, nurturing your friendships, and honoring your needs, you become irresistible. Because a woman who doesn't rely on a man to complete her naturally commands respect and desire. Fourth, communicate with intention. Whether it's in person or through a text, let your words reflect your confidence and playfulness. Be clear, but not needy. Be warm, but not clingy. And always leave a little room for mystery, because desire thrives in what's not fully known. Fifth, stay true to yourself. It's tempting to mold yourself to what you think he wants, but that only leads to dissatisfaction for both of you. The woman who wins long term is the woman who stands in her truth unapologetically. When you do that, you invite a deeper, more meaningful connection. Lastly, don't forget to have fun with it. Attraction and desire aren't just serious business, they're also playful and joyful. Let yourself enjoy the process of connecting, teasing, and exploring. When you relax and enjoy your own feminine energy, that vibe becomes infectious. So here's your feminine power recap. Be present, be mysterious, be emotionally independent, communicate with confidence, honor your boundaries, and stay true to yourself. When you do this consistently, you're not just making him crave your presence, you're creating a magnetic energy that pulls the right man toward you naturally and effortlessly. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now go out there and shine your feminine light, because the world is waiting for the woman who owns her power without apology.